I'm back. What's this bullshit? Too much me. Oh, no, not enough. There we go. There we go. Woo. Let's see if I can get an hour done. If you're new to my live streams, mostly it's me doing bullshit around the house, crafting, sewing, or reading, and you can just use me as background noise to, if you're one of those people that need kind of, someone in the room to be, productive. Yeah. I'll be that productive random person. What do I want to listen to tonight? I'm not in the mood for a story. Let's do some theories. I haven't done any of the new theory people yet, so. Alright, hot glue gun.
So many choices. How do you pick the right dog food? Well, you want real meat to be the first ingredient. And you probably don't want things like chicken byproduct meal or whole grain corn. That makes the choice pretty easy. Blue Buffalo. Pick up Blue wherever you buy pet.
Ford is upstairs. Let me see if I can find him right quick.
Triangle Rewards and PetroPoints just got more rewarding. Link your accounts to collect Canadian Tire money with PetroPoints using just one card. What new adventures will you fuel?
Emo is making some big claims in his latest ad. Is that so? Sounds like a challenge. I hope you're ready to put your money where your mouth is, Temu, because I'm about to put your promise to the test and see if I can live the billionaire lifestyle on a Temu budget. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Style Theory, the show that dropships the Internet's most stylish fashion content straight to your subfeed. Now, I may not be the world's biggest sports fan, but even I can't escape the Super Bowl. Commercials. This year, the one that made me stop and pay attention was none other than Temu. And not because they ran it not one, not two, but 6 times during the entire show. And that is not cheap. No, what got me was their tagline. Shop like a billionaire. On Temu? Really? No tea, no shade, but when I think of Temu, I don't tend to think of luxury. Temu is an e-commerce platform where you can buy just about anything, from clothes and furniture to jewelry and toys. What sets Temu apart from other online retailers is that Temu's prices are super low. Like comically low, even when you compare it to the king of affordable options, Amazon. But do cheap prices actually mean you can shop like a billionaire? Well, Temu seems to think so, but I'm not so sure. So today, I'm going to take them at their word and see if Temu can rise up to its own challenge. Can you really live the lifestyles of the rich and the famous using only Temu? Or is Temu trying to pull the bargain bin wool over your eyes? And since I'm rebuilding my new billionaire lifestyle from the ground up, it only makes sense to start from scratch somewhere new, somewhere empty, somewhere like this. Allow me to introduce you to the Temu Zone, a world built entirely out of items found on Temu. From our clothes to our furniture to some things a little bit more extravagant, we are going to rebuild our entire life right here from the ground up to become the billionaire that Temu thinks we can be. But before we can fill this space with my brand new life, I need to find out what billionaires actually shop for. And it turns out that information is really easy to find. Like, really easy. Billionaires, they love talking about, posting about, and getting interviewed about all their very expensive stuff. Honestly, I'm shocked. But we can actually distill all of that fluff into 3 easy categories for our test. Dress, design, and drive. The 3Ds, if you will. Over and over again, we see the super rich indulge in things like clothes, often designer or custom made, homes meticulously decked out in the creme de la creme of interior design, and of course, cars. I don't know why, but there seems to be something with billionaires and having the desire to amass a crazy car collection. Maybe I'm just overcomplicating things. Either way, this feels like a pretty good framework to test Temu's big claims. So I've devised a 3-round shopping gauntlet. In each round, I'm going to pick a real-life billionaire and try to emulate their clothes, their furniture, or yes, even their car, using only items we can buy on Temu. Yes, you heard me right. We are going to attempt to buy a car on Temu. Stay tuned to see how that turns out. Now, obviously, Temu's campaign isn't actually about spending $1 billion, though I'm sure they'd be happy if you did, but rather it's about feeling like a billionaire. So, when we're judging how well Temu lives up to its slogan, I want to compare the Temu cost against the original item cost to see what we're actually saving. And with all that out of the way, it's time to start round 1 of our gauntlet. So, let's see if Temu can really turn this pauper into a princess. Clothes can often be the ultimate status symbol, and not just for the 1%. In high school, having the right branding could mean fitting in with your peers or being considered an outsider. Though, like we learned in our Quiet Luxury episode, the really wealthy don't rely on logos to make a statement. They let the clothes talk for themselves. Take Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, for example. Don't let that casual jean and t-shirt look fool you. It's made by Italian designer Brunello Cucinelli, and it costs about $300. Still, I actually think Temu has the upper hand in this category. While it sells a wide variety of
back in
items,
place.
the majority of Temu's site is dedicated to clothes, shoes, and accessories. But to put it to the test, I needed to pick my first person to copy. One with a lot of style. Yes, we are once again getting Swiftie here on the channel. If you didn't know, Taylor joined the Billionaires Club at the end of last year. Between her massively successful Eras tour, her re-recordings, her record-setting 4th Album of the Year Grammy, and winning Time Magazine's Person of the Year, Taylor fits the definition of a billionaire to a T. And I may be going to the Eras tour again later this year. Yes, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. But I figured why not use this as an opportunity to find my next costume for that concert. So today I'm going to try and emulate 2 of Taylor's most iconic looks. The first being this gold dress from the Fearless set of her Eras tour. This look features a couture mini dress from designer Roberto Cavalli, who actually designed several of Taylor's outfits on the tour. This dress alone is estimated to cost around $12,500. Add in the custom knee-high glitter boots from Christian Louboutin for a modest $5,995, and this look in total will cost us over $18,000, which is way out of my budget. And so let's see if Temu can save the day and give us the same look for less. And here's outfit number 1. Do you recognize it? Because this is the Fearless look from the Eras tour. Now, that is actually one of my favorite ones because it is iconic with Taylor Swift. The swivel, the gold, the lame, it's perfect until you get to the back. Now, here's the thing. When I saw this outfit, I thought it was a full outfit, but they kind of forgot to put the back in place, and so we're gonna stay here. We're not gonna move. We're not gonna go back there because that's demonetization zone, including you, Camera B. I see you over here. Hey! Eyes up here. So, is this outfit a win? Well, it's a little mixed. I think that this would stand up to going to an Eras Tour concert, standing there for 3 hours, going crazy watching Taylor do her thing on the stage. I don't think the boots would. The thing about these boots is they are really poor quality. It does feel like sticking my feet into a vat of foam. And I don't know if you know what foam is. It's a bit like foam if it was wet. But here's the other thing, and it's the thing that really makes these boots a big loss for me. They smell. They smell so bad. I feel like I'm getting chemical poisoning as I stand here for the 5 minutes it takes me to tell you about this outfit. So, in lieu of that, we are going to jump to our second outfit to see if we can do a Grammy Award-winning look with Temu. I can still feel the smell in my throat. While what we ended up with definitely nailed the spirit of the original look, at least from the front, I may never recover from the damage those toxic boots did to my lungs. That being said, we did get what we paid for. On Temu, the dress only cost $22.99, and those awful boots were actually more expensive at $28.39. So in total, our Eras Tour outfit cost $51.38, less than 0.25% of Taylor's original look. And in terms of success, I'd call it a half win. It had its upside, but it felt like Billionaire and a little more Party City. As I try to forget those boot bioweapons, it's time to move on to Taylor outfit number 2. And let me tell you, I have really high hopes for this one. We are going to try it.
I think I'm gonna go with these
I have a
ones
secret.
instead.
With the new secret clinically
I need
proven
to do some
aluminum-free deodorant, you can almost miss the bus, but smell like you didn't. Secret helps stop odor before it starts. Smell fresh for up to 72 hours. Secret works.
Money makes the world go round. And round, and round, and round. The same old problems, same old story on repeat.
Money makes the world go round
The world go forward.
until you run out of
What if we
food.
could make our system more open, inclusive, and transparent? What if we could do for finance what the internet did for information? Crypto makes the world go forward. Kraken.
Can't eat
See
that.
what
It's
crypto
not
can be.
technically monetary.
Real talk, trying to assemble this outfit on Temu was no easy task. Not only is there so much going on with this look, but a lot of it was custom made. That means we want to try and match all of this on Temu. We are going to have to do a lot
There we go.
of searching. And this is going to be a problem because Temu's search bar, not great. The main problem is that the more specific of an item I was trying to find, the less Temu's search feature was able to serve me what I needed. If I needed just any white dress, Temu had me covered. But if I needed to find a specific kind of dress, like say one with a square neckline and high slit, that's where things started to fall apart. In fact, it ended up being easier to go to Google, type in what I wanted, add Temu to the end of it, and then Google would show me exactly the right items on Temu's website. So Temu had the right stuff. Their website just made it very difficult to find, even for an experienced online shopper like myself. But back to the outfit. The highlight was obviously the custom-made Schiaparelli haute couture gown by designer Daniel Roseberry. Being one of a kind, finding the exact price was a little tricky, but I did end up coming up with a rough estimate. The average price for an award show dress in 2022 was about the six-figure range, which is about the same price as a higher-end haute couture dress. So we can safely estimate that the bare minimum cost of this dress would be around $100,000.
Still kind of like the blue ones. I
complimented the
think they're
dress
gonna
with
go
some
better
black
over there.
opera gloves. While I couldn't find the exact price, similar pairs cost around $207. She paired that with a pair of stilettos and sandals from a cool $750. She's actually worn that same pair of shoes to several other big events. We stan an outfit repeater. But the part of this outfit that got the most attention, the jewels. Taylor Swift has a long-time partnership with the jeweler Lorraine Schwartz. According to Schwartz, Taylor was wearing over 300 carats worth of diamonds to this year's Grammy. Again, since most of these items were custom, finding the exact price is a little difficult. But considering that at last year's Grammy, she wore 136 carats of Schwartz jewelry that reportedly cost about $3 million, I'd estimate that this jewelry tops out at around $7 million. So what about our Temu option?
All right, outfit number 2. This is Taylor's 2024 Grammy dress. I'm gonna start right away with the thing I hate most, which are these shoes. These shoes are gonna make me break an ankle. I don't know if it's the fact that the sizing chart was off or the fact that these straps are not strapping. I don't like them. We're gonna take them off. We're kicking the shoes off. This is a shoeless game.
Yes, once again, the shoes were a complete and total loss. Honestly, I was more than a little disappointed. When ordering each item, I went through each size guide meticulously to make sure I was ordering the right size. And yet both shoes
Could work here.
were too big. And then we got to the dress.
Here's the thing about this. While it does look a lot like Taylor's dress, it does not feel what I expect her dress felt like. First off, this dress is not meant to actually close. You see, there's this clip back here. Usually it closes because it's meant to hold up the dress and make it not, slide. However, this one was probably an inch too wide. It took not just one person, but about 3 people to really slam close that dress. Let's not just talk about the pains of beauty. What about the quality of this dress? It's surprisingly a thick fabric, and I think it actually gets the spirit of Taylor's dress really well. This neckline is an almost perfect match for the dress she was wearing, and that was a hard sell. Shopping all over that site, you could find so many other white dresses, but none that got this sharp, very angular top. So that, in and of itself, huge win.
Though there was one big problem with the fit.
Where Taylor had a corset, in fact, that really let her dress hug her body tight, this one wants to escape my body the fastest that it can.
But hey, it had the slit, sorta.
Sure, we don't have a slit, but we have the idea of a slit down here. It has the right kind of thought process. So, of course, that is a huge success. Good job, Temu. You gave me enough options to find this outfit. But that brings me to the rest of this outfit. The necklaces and the gloves. The gloves are fine. They are gloving their life up. But the necklaces, I don't know how they look to you.
Really.
But when I saw them, I could tell right away that they were a little less than Claire's quality. They are very flimsy. They're very light. They are definitely costume jewelry. And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with costume jewelry. I own a ton myself. But
blue
I
ones
feel like
go
these
with
are,
you.
more like a 5-year-old's
That
costume
means
jewelry
I
than a
need yours.
year-old's costume jewelry that, wants to last for a little while. However, if you want to dress like a billionaire for your birthday, for Halloween, Temu probably has your back. Overall, with this round, I'm
Your
just
head
a
keeps
little bit
falling off.
disappointed. Temu, I
Is it
really
your
thought
very
this was
heavy
gonna be
ears that
your
don't really
time
match
to
the rest of your
shine.
body?
This was your moment, and you just kind of let me down. But you have another chance. We are going to build a living room out of Temu furniture, not just any living room. We are going to build a Kim Kardashian-worthy living room out of
of Temu. I think it's fair to say that for round one, Temu gets a thumbs down for me. Not only did I not feel like I was shopping like a billionaire, I barely felt like I was shopping for a Halloween costume. And I love shopping for Halloween costumes. Ultimately, everything felt cheap because it was cheap. All of the jewelry combined cost just $9. And those shoes I could barely stand in cost $10.79. I think if we learned anything here, it's that paying even a tiny bit more for decent shoes is worth its weight in gold. Adding in the cost of the gloves and the cost of the dress, the total for this outfit comes in at just $70.89, which, when you compare it to the multi-million-dollar price tag of Taylor's version, is truly a bargain. But at what cost? By the way, before we wrap up this round, I want to give a shout out to Sarah Chappelle, who runs the Taylor Swift Styled Instagram and blog. Both were super helpful in trying to track down everything Taylor was wearing. Speaking of tracking, if you're spending a lot of time shopping online, you'll want to do it with the support of our sponsor for today's episode, Incogni. When you're browsing online, whether it's shopping for new clothes or just checking on the latest updates from your favorite creators, your data is at risk. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. In researching for this episode, I spent hours looking up information on high-end living room furniture. Now, weeks later, I am still getting ads for couches, carpets, and cream-colored curtains. Oh my! And this isn't the first time. You would not believe the ads I got after the edible underwear episode. You don't want to know. By making an account, I was able to see who had my data. And on my own, I never know how to get started on getting it removed, which is what makes Incogni so great. It would take years to do this myself, from getting into contact with each company, writing letters, rinse, repeat. With Incogni's dashboard feature, it only takes about a week to start seeing results. Incogni saves me the hassle of dealing with the complicated legal back and forth of getting my information removed. And as someone new to having their whole life being online, having someone out there looking out for my personal information is a huge chip off my shoulder. And they're giving all of you style theorists a special deal. When you go to incogni.com/styletheory and use code styletheory at checkout, you will get 60% off an annual plan. That is a huge deal you don't want to miss. Go to incogni.com/styletheory or click the link at the top of the description and use code styletheory to take control of your information today for a great price. Once again, that's incogni.com/styletheory with code styletheory at checkout for 60% off the annual plan. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring
super
this
glue.
episode. Now that we've tested the clothes, it's time to move on to our next round, creating a home, or at least a room. We have to have somewhere to live, right? And when I realized this was going to be part of the test, there was one haunting room that came to mind. Kim Kardashian's unsettling beige sitting room. I'm not here to yuck someone's yum, but I feel like Norman Bates would be right at home in this place. But she's not alone in this love for simple beige aesthetics. Kerry Washington, Serena Williams, Dakota Johnson, and even Alicia Keys have all embraced that minimalist off-white interior. Maybe I shouldn't knock the beige life until I try it for myself. So, what do we need to build our own Temu version? Kim Kardashian's sitting room was inspired by interior designer Axel Vervoet, who is basically the king of minimalist design. The main seating in this room come from the chairs and the couch, which appear to be from the polar bear set by designer Jean Royer. Since his death in 1981, the value of Royer's work has only skyrocketed. Priced more like an art piece you'd find in a museum rather than Bob's Discount Furniture. A few years ago, the polar bear couch and chairs sold at auction for a crisp $1 million, so that's likely close to what Kim Kardashian paid for her set as well. Speaking of art, that little piece hanging in the background is by another famous and deceased artist named Lucio Fontana. And a few years ago, a similar piece by Fontana sold for $1.5 million. Now, something you might not realize about Kim K is that she's very sentimental, at least when it comes to her family. One of her prized possessions are the baby books she made for each of her 4 kids. I was able to find a similar set of 3 custom books for about $371. So doing a little math, that would mean that a set of 4 would cost around $495. Moving up the rest of the room, we have this wooden coffee table and this beige carpet. While I couldn't find out who made these exact items, looking at similar designs from other brands that we know Kim K shops, I can estimate that the total cost for the rest of the room is about $19,700. This brings our estimated cost of the entire room to just over $2.5 million. I guess minimalism comes with a maximalist price tag, unless you're taking the Temu challenge. Now, it's time to show you how I transformed the Temu zone into a space worthy of a Kardashian.
Welcome to my living room, brought to us by Temu. Though definitely not sponsored, which means I can be as honest as I want. Let's take a look around and see how we did. Follow me this way. This is our main seating area. We have 2 armchairs, so we went hardcore extravagant on this one. So we found these. Now, it turns out that on Temu, most chairs that you find there are either foldable or inflatable. You can't tell. They're a little bit inflatable, but we did find some lovely seat covers that gave us that beige look we were going for if you just ignore the gaps. And they actually feel really comfortable. However, we did originally have that one set up over here and it immediately developed a hole. So we're just gonna move on from this to our gallery. This is my Temu original because I originally bought it on Temu. In all honesty, it is a really pretty print. I love the gold, the white. It really fits the beige of the whole room. I think I could find this in a lot of high-end designer galleries like Target, Walmart, even something like IKEA.
You're struggling, and I definitely think it's in me.
And the realism makes me feel like someone really went to work printing this out on a. Yes, it is actually hideous, but let me entirely different. I call it my memory note, where I can relive all my greatest memories, including this one and this one. And let's never forget this moment. Okay, let's be real. This is the world where no one prints out their photos anymore. Follow me down to the ground because I really need to show you this table.
Theorists, this table turned everything around for me.
This table might be the best thing we've bought in this entire episode. This baby, it is smooth, it is sturdy, and it solves a problem I've had for so long. Where do I hold my snacks on movie night? I can put everything on this table. It's the perfect height, it is the perfect width, and
going on
honestly,
here?
Jason, can I keep this table? All right, guys, this whole section, a full success. But you stay here. I'm gonna go have a break until the next part. No, stay. Leave me alone. This is my time.
Maybe it was the high amount of chemical fumes I've been exposed to, but that table, I wasn't kidding when I said it was a solid piece of furniture. And at just over $41, it was one of the pricier items we'd purchased so far. And honestly, that money, worth it. That's right, Temu. So far, the best option we got from your store wasn't the cheap option, and it gave us quality. Looking around at the rest of the room, I would say it was worthy of a college dorm. Not quite the billionaire paradise I was hoping to get, but our room did have a few other highlights. The photo album costing just $13.95, which was a pretty average price for that kind of album, and the rug, which was truly a steal. It was soft, cushioned, and sure, it came with that same kind of chemical smell, though not nearly as much as the boots. But for $38, the quality was surprisingly good. Personally, I've been shopping around for rugs recently, and they are pricey, costing upwards of $50 minimum for a rug half this size. And they're not always better quality either. So in my book, Temu actually took a triple W for this round with these items. In total, our full Kardashian sitting room furnished by Temu cost us $276.62, less than 1% of that original price tag. And I can't ignore the big question we've all been thinking since the start of this episode. Why is everything cheaper on Temu? It all comes down to the core of Temu's business model. Like Amazon, Etsy, and Shein, Temu is what's known as a dropshipping company, meaning that things like my Temu original art isn't made by Temu at all. It's just the middle. Temu is a marketplace that tries to connect manufacturers directly with their customers. When you place an order on Temu, all they do is simply pass along your information to the manufacturer, and that's who makes and ships each item directly to you, which helps keep that price sitting at that sweet low number. Here it is on Amazon for $159. It's got the same pictures and everything. You are paying that high price because now you are buying from a seller instead of a manufacturer. And that seller wants to make a profit on their purchase. But that's not the only thing keeping Temu at the bottom of the bargain bin. According to some experts, Temu is taking a $30 loss on every single order. Yeah, they are driving their costs down so low that they are losing money. So why spend even more money on $6-7 million Super Bowl ads? It's simple. They want to be the #1 shopping destination in the US. And this year, the Super Bowl brought in a record-setting 123.7 million viewers. And here's the thing. Post-Bowl, Temu was the #1 free app on both the Apple and Google Play stores. However, it was a temporary success, and it's since dropped out of that top spot. But theorists, we have one more round where Temu can prove that it's worth more than anyone ever bargained for. Transportation. Lambert.
How do I clean an aioli stain? He was tied.
Do crabs have eyebrows?
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
Reward your good financial gain. Rise to it with the new BMO Eclipse Rise Visa card.
classic rich person, quite like a luxury sports car. And if we're going big, I don't see a reason to not get one of the most sought after cars there is. Introducing the Ferrari LaFerrari, which is Italian for the Ferrari. It's a very creative name. That's right, we are going to buy a Ferrari on Temu. This car was only made in a limited run of 499 units between 2013 and 2016. It was the first full hybrid vehicle Ferrari ever made, allowing its electric motor to put out more power than any other on the road. Celebrities who are known to own this rare car include people like Gordon Ramsay, Justin Bieber, and Drake. Although technically speaking, none of those guys are billionaires, but we do have some proper billionaires who do have the car as well, including NASCAR owner Rick Hendrick. And since this car isn't made anymore, when one does go up for sale, it tends to fetch a pretty penny, anywhere from $3 million to $6.7 million. So imagine my surprise when I found one listed on Temu for a fraction of that price. I had to get it. This was going to change the game. And theorists, I felt like $1 billion that day because they even had a driver who brought the car right to me.
I was expecting.
Okay, I have to admit something. Temu was never going to ship me a car. It was never going to ship me a couch. In fact, it was never going to ship me anything larger than your average coffee table. And there's one big reason for that: shipping. Companies like Temu take advantage of a loophole in our import laws known as the de minimis exemption. Now, this law does a lot. It allows imported shipments valued at less than $800 to avoid paying some import duties and be subject to less inspection by Customs and Border Protection, meaning that Temu has to keep its goods as cheap as possible to stay under that value limit and keep them small. According to a congressional subcommittee into the labor practices of these fast fashion brands,
You good? Making a lot of noise up there.
That enter the U.S. using the de minimis exemption come from just 2 companies. Can you guess who they are? It's Temu and Shein. And on top of that, almost 50% of all de minimis exemption goods come from China, where labor costs are significantly cheaper. And it gets worse because this law, it was meant to help small businesses be able to acquire materials they need from abroad without having to deal with excessive fees and delays. But here comes big brands like Temu and Shein taking advantage of this loophole meant for small creators so they can continue to send their cheap goods into the US for even cheaper. Not cool, guys. Not cool. And so Temu is jumping through hoops to try to sell us on the idea that we can live large on their small scale goods. Well, we have clearly proved the ad wrong. Despite finding a few great items Jason is going to have to pry from my cold, dead hands, Temu failed each and every one of our challenges. But it turns out that Temu, they lost long before we ever made this episode. You see, their Shop Like a Billionaire campaign was built on a premise that was inherently flawed. While we, like Temu, tend to think of billionaires spending their money on things like fancy cars, clothes, and homes, that's not where they really spend their money. Billionaires spend the vast majority of their money making more money. According to the author of The $1 Billion Secret, people think billionaires sit on mountains of money and don't do anything but invent new ways of spending. Nothing could be further from the truth. Keeping $1 billion in cash would cost up to $135,000 in opportunity costs each and every day. Simply having all that money costs money, and the only way to offset those costs is to make more money. They do this by buying things like stocks, real estate, bonds, and other businesses. Things that help their money make money. Think Succession. And all of those things are things you can't buy on Temu. Now, I'm not saying that the uber rich aren't spending their money on retail therapy like the rest of us, but it's about relative cost. For a billionaire, buying something like a $6 million car is the equivalent of the median American buying an iPhone. Kim Kardashian could buy a $1 million polar bear furniture set every day for the next 2 years before she stopped being a billionaire. It would take Elon Musk 575 years of daily polar bear purchases to spend his entire net worth. But here's the thing. I'm not going to end this episode by just saying, wow, billionaires are so rich they can buy all the luxury goods they ever imagined and still be rich. Instead, I want to leave you with some practical advice I learned while researching for this episode. Advice that will actually make you feel like a billionaire. According to online experts, if you really want to start building your wealth, the first thing you need to do is create an emergency fund. Because even if your budget and expenses are perfectly in balance for now, unexpected things can happen. You could lose your job, you could get an unexpected medical bill, or your perfectly good 2008 Nissan could get T-boned in an intersection, forcing you to buy a new car out of nowhere when you were just trying to get
Just
to
working on a few
I
things
may be
tonight.
speaking from experience there. Experts recommend that you start building a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and you can start with as little as $1 a month depending on your situation. Over time, all that change will really start to add up, and then you can get
Yeah,
someone
bank
else to
fees
help
are like
that money
$4
save
a
you some
month
money. No, I
minimum.
don't mean going to Reddit to get your advice on the best song.
So I
mean
guess I'll
putting
put
your
it under
money
the bed.
into a managed brokerage.
Hope
Let
for the
someone
best.
who knows more about
I'm not
money
doing it now.
make money for you. That way, you'll truly be
These
living the
little
billionaire
ones.
lifestyle of passive income. The point is that while Temu may save you money on some small knickknacks, it's not going to make you feel or shop like a billionaire. But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Keep shopping smart. And hey, if you want to see some bloopers from this episode, head over to the Style Theory TikTok. Yeah,
off the
we have a
eyes.
TikTok now. I've been having
Oh,
a lot
wow,
of
they're
fun
set.
over there,
That's
and
good.
if you haven't followed us, you are
Nice.
seriously missing out. Just saying. In fact, I'm gonna go head over there right now and post something. See you there.
Full moon? It's weird. Okay, back to
You
Jupiter.
think you've seen the sun, but
There.
you ain't seen the sun. Wait till you see the sunshine day. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Did he say you ain't seen shit? I never even checked to see if the hole would fit. The call. Shit.
Want next level
Vanilla.
repair without sulfates?
There we go.
Angie Nutrient Blends repairs
Do
as
this
well
one
as a
then.
leading $50 brand. For softness and resilience without trade-offs. If you know Pantene.
Where's my
Following
remote?
discoveries are the reason I decided to make this video. So hold on to your seats.
What we watching? Do 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 do. I'm gonna sneeze. Sure, we'll go with Dune. Put the hole. I thought I put it over there, but I'm gonna have to put another one in and then stitch up the first one.
Rest in peace, my friend. You're one who belongs to the tribe. Wait, what is this? This is Diet Coke? What is with this steers and Diet Coke?
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that has milked the worm, drank the juice, and seen the universe. My God, it's full of stars. So, something you're going to quickly learn about me is that I love science fiction, and there is no other
There we
story
go.
more important to the genre
A
than
little
Dune.
jackalope
You ever seen a
ready for the
sci-fi movie go to a
convention.
desert planet or
Some
have
bones
a
on
complex
the bow.
political conflict that escalates into a galaxy-wide war? That means a certain somebody read Dune. Though the movie doesn't really explain this, Dune is set some 20,000 years in the future, where there are a few noble families that walk a complicated political tightrope for control of the whole galaxy. Think Game of Thrones, but in space. Or I guess Game of Thrones would be Dune without space. The most important world in this universe, however, is Arrakis, a desert planet home to the spice, a drug that expands your mind and lets you
This one,
see
hang on.
bits and pieces of the future. Without spice in that future sight, space travel is impossible, and that's kind of important for your sci-fi space story. Dune has seen its fair share of attempted adaptations over the years. Some bad,
Thanks. Have some eyes.
but finally we have the perfect adaptation that this series deserves. Just saying, they have to make the third movie now, or we riot. But in the meantime, now that Dune has well and truly broken into the mainstream, I thought we should
Ooh,
revisit the
lovely.
series for another
Actually,
period.
yeah,
Now,
we'll go
don't
with
you
really
worry
big
if
eyes
you
for
don't
this
know
guy.
your Paladins through your quiz ads Hatterax. We're not diving into Dune's complex politics or funny made-up world. Today, I wanted to take a look at the
planet that made Dune famous, Arrakis, and what you'd need to survive on it. Obviously, this world is hot, a scorching desert where water is more valuable than life, so much so that it's sacred to the local Fremen people. And they take that seriously. On this world, your water, your tears, your blood, your sweat, etc., it doesn't belong to you. Belongs to the tribe, and wasting it by crying or vomiting, not okay. Spitting is seen as a sign of great respect because it's giving your water.
Thank you, Mr. Ware. Give to your body's moisture.
To get as much water as possible, the Fremen have developed a lot of tech to get every last drop that they can. Wind traps capture what little moisture is in the air. Death stills extract water from fallen friend and foe alike. And of course, there are the still suits. You know, those really cool black costumes that we see Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya wearing in all the posters. When worn, these still suits are able to reclaim almost all of the water someone loses in a given day, purifying it and allowing them to drink it all over again. Now, on the surface,
Gross.
recycling and then sipping on the water of your own body sounds kinda gross.
Yep.
You know what? It is.
It is.
Thankfully, it's all fiction. Or is it?
There we go. There we go.
Today, I want to really dive into the science behind these still suits, how they work in the movie, how they're powered, and exactly how they reclaim all of that water, and see if this piece of science fiction is actually science-backed. Long live the fighters, loyal theorists. Let's see if a still suit holds any water. Alright, so the best place for us to start here is exactly why the still suits are so important, and it comes down to why water is so important. Our bodies are somewhere between 55 and 60% water, so a 154-pound or 70-kilogram Timothée Chalamet would have a little over 42 liters or 92 pounds of water in his body at any given time. All of that water is necessary for you to regulate your temperature, lubricate your joints, and get rid of waste, that sort of thing. If you don't drink water, your body doesn't work. And just 3 days without water can be fatal. Now, normally you'd lose somewhere between 2.5 and 3 liters of water per day in average conditions here on Earth. But if you're working hard, or in a hot climate, like, say, I don't know, running from a sandworm on a desert planet where temperatures can reach as high as 138 degrees Fahrenheit, 59 degrees Celsius, you would lose as much as 19 liters per day. That would be almost half of Timothée Chalamet's water. Obviously, that would be bad. In fact, the movie even points out that on Arrakis,
even this early in the morning, you would have survived 2 hours without one of these.
So you can see why these still suits are so important for the characters in Dune. But what exactly do they do? Well, still suits are able to capture nearly every drop of water that a person would ordinarily lose during day-to-day activities. That water is then filtered in the suit so it can be drunk through a straw in the mask, creating a sort of closed loop of water.
In good working order, your suit won't lose more than a thimbleful of water a day.
Would a civilization 20,000 years in the future know what a thimble is? I barely know what a thimble is. Anyway, by that metric, that means you'd be losing about 5 milliliters of water a day.
Yeah, you'd
Again,
have to
if you're
fix your own
losing
shit,
about
so you know what
19
thimble
liters
is.
of water, that means the still suits are recovering 99.97% of the water lost. That's incredibly efficient, and a pretty good explanation of how you'd survive on this desert planet. But is that figure realistic? Could we feasibly do this in the real world, on our real planet, and not in some crazy sci-fi future? Well, to answer that, we need to look at three things. How we lose water in our day-to-day lives, how to capture that water, and then how to make it safe to drink, if we can do that at all. Let's start with the number one way someone on Arrakis is going to be losing their water. Undoubtedly, their sweat. Sweat is roughly 99% water, with the other 1% being various salts and fats. And a person can sweat between 500 milliliters and 10 liters per day if you're doing hard work in the heat. Yeah, 10 liters. That's 5 of those big sodas you see in the grocery store. But sweating is more than just producing salty water.
Turn routine into ritual with Osana Naturals. Naturally derived hair care. Infused with botanical extracts and mood-boosting fragrance. Free from sulfates, parabens, and phthalates. Shop now at Walmart.
I'm being assaulted by a cat. This one. Are you happy? Oh, his eyes are still messy, but he's gotten a lot better.
Anytime I mention there's a pound called Daddy Issues, people kind of roll their eyes in that expectation.
The average internal temperature of the human body is around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 degrees Celsius. But every time you move, breathe, or even think, your body produces excess heat. Sweat is how your body gets rid of that excess heat, with the water in sweat evaporating and taking the heat with it, thus cooling you down. This is actually why the whole idea of a skin-tight suit isn't exactly something you'd expect to come from a desert-faring civilization. I mean, just look at what people in the real world actually wear if they live in arid parts of the planet, like the Middle East or North Africa. They tend to be large gowns or robes made from breathable fabric that intentionally fits loosely on the body. This way, sweat can freely build up and evaporate. Your body actually disperses 90% of its heat through sweat alone, which is gonna be kind of difficult if you can't sweat at all. Yeah, you might have noticed that evaporation is kind of critical for this whole system to work. And if you've ever worn a skin-tight piece of clothing before, you know that fabric breathability is a must. Thankfully, though this isn't really explored in the movie, this is something the original author Frank Herbert thought of for the still suits. As the character Liet Kynes puts it, the skin contact layer is porous. Perspiration passes through it, having cooled the body, a near normal evaporation process. So to translate, the layer of the suit that touches your skin is covered in little holes that let sweat pass through. This is actually how most athletic wear works in the real world. Moving on, the number 2 way your body loses its water is through your breath. Yeah, that might come as a bit of a surprise, but have you ever wondered why you can see your breath when it's cold outside? Why glass fogs up when you breathe on it? Or why you sometimes wake up with a super dry mouth? It's because you exhale water every single time you breathe. However, unlike sweat, our breath only contains about 0.05% water, which adds up to you breathing out about a cup of water every single day. Not as much as a bunch of 2 liters, but still super valuable to the Fremen. This is actually why all the Fremen wear those face masks and nose tubes. Well, unless you're a named character. Then you gotta prune up in the desert because you are a recognizable actor. My apologies
And I know
to
there's food
Zendaya's
upstairs.
skincare routine.
Where is it?
And as for number 3, it's going number 1. Yep, it's pee. Listen, we all knew this one was coming. For a person in an average environment who isn't sweating up a storm, urine is actually the biggest source of water loss in any given day, with somewhere between 800 and 2,000 milliliters of pure pee. That's enough to fill up a 2-liter of Mountain Dew without anyone noticing. Urine is 95% water, with the rest being urea, salts, and ammonia. So you can imagine why the Fremen would be pissed to lose any of that liquid gold. Now, before you see that 95% water figure and decide to go all Bear Grylls on your toilet bowl, despite popular opinion, pee is not sterile. You should not be drinking this stuff. This is my 3rd episode, and I'm already giving a PSA on not to drink your own pee. What are we doing here, guys? Urine contains bacteria that can make you sick, and all that salt wouldn't just make it taste awful. Ironically, it would dehydrate you in the same way ocean water would, so not something you'd be in the mood for. So, our still suits are gonna need a way to purify all this sweaty pee breath, as gross as that sounds, but this is totally within the realm of possibility. In fact, we don't even have to look at some future sci-fi tech. This is something that real-world space agencies like NASA are using right now. Keeping the scientists on the International Space Station, or ISS, alive is no easy feat, and getting supplies to space is very expensive. It costs roughly $2,500 to send a single pound into space. And considering that each astronaut drinks about 1 gallon of water, 8.3 pounds every single day, that means it would cost NASA about $20,850 per astronaut per day just to keep them hydrated. As a result, NASA had to get really clever about recycling water, and developed a system that would make the Fremen proud. For sweat and breath, the ISS is equipped with a super advanced dehumidifier that collects all of that sweet, sweaty breath. And as for the pee, the astronauts have a special toilet that sucks away all of their urine into a rapidly spinning drum, whose high speed allows for the distillation of the water from the rest of the urine. Then, all the reclaimed water is filtered and funneled back into the astronauts' tap. That's why kids don't want to be astronauts anymore. Regardless, according to NASA, this stuff is actually cleaner than the water that comes out of your own faucet. And the newest version of this system is able to recycle 98% of an astronaut's sweat, breath, and urine, which is shockingly close to that 99.97% we calculated for the still suits. And you know, I think in the 20,000-year difference between modern day and the time of Dune, we'll be able to up the efficiency by that couple percentage points and get this tech small enough to fit into a still suit. But urine, sweat, and breath isn't the only way you lose water. There's a...
I think it's checkmate. Is it check or is it checkmate, mate? Mate?
I had a bear. I was going to decapitate. Where did it go? don't know
fourth
if I
major
should put
draw
this
of
guy
water
up
from your
on
body,
vintage
it's
or
a big
not.
old stinky number 2. It's your poop. Now, at first, the idea of there being all that much water in your normal poop might seem strange, but it's actually 75% water. The rest is made up of salts, undigested foods, and bacteria. You know, all the stuff that makes the bathroom especially fragrant. That's an issue because, just like urine, all that bacteria can make you really sick. And they can also give you diarrhea, which can dehydrate you quickly, thus leading to a swift death in the heat of Arrakis. Unfortunately, this sort of sickness isn't just a problem you face in science fiction. Fecal contamination of water supplies is a serious problem in the real world. Because of this, plenty of scientists have put a lot of work into treating this water to make it drinkable in as efficient a way and in the smallest space as possible. For example, meet the Janicki Omni process, a system funded by Bill Gates that turns raw sewage into fresh, clean drinking water using substantially smaller machines than normal waste treatment plants. The idea is to boil the raw sewage, removing the water from the rest of it. Then bam, the water condensates in a clean environment, and in as little as 5 minutes, it turns your poop into something slightly better than Dasani. It sure is, Bill. You're drinking poop water. So we can reclaim almost all of the water we lose in our stinkiest armpits and from the depths of our toilets. But doing so is going to require a lot of power. So where are the still suits getting this energy? I mean, they're not powered by Duracell after all. Well, the answer in both the movie and in real life is your own body.
Your body's movements provide the power.
Yep, this isn't water power, air power, or even desert power. It's good old human power. And this isn't some crazy future sci-fi tech. Using the human body to generate electricity is something we're taking baby steps in right now. Case in point, scientists at MIT were able to generate 1 watt via heel pumps, enough to power the flashlight on your phone. Not bad for just walking around. And they're not alone. Researchers in Germany have been working on similar wearable tech, while Japanese scientists want to develop sidewalks that generate power by people walking on them. By the time of Dune, this sort of energy conversion from movement would be much easier, and could take advantage of more than just walking. As the book explains, motions of the body, especially breathing, provide the power for the suit. So even breathing would be giving us what we need here. All in all, still suits are looking pretty possible. We're already filtering our bodily fluids back into drinking water, and the technology to power it with our bodies is in the early stages. This science fiction is starting to sound a lot like science reality. But we are forgetting one crucial part: keeping cool. Remember when we talked about how sweat actually keeps you cool? It evaporates, taking the heat with it and cooling your body off. Well, the opposite happens when water condensates. Like, say, if you want to get drinkable water from evaporated sweat or boiled poop. Yeah, after running the numbers, condensating the water from the sweat and poop of Paul Atreides would release over 43 million joules of heat energy, enough to raise the temperature of the water in his body by over 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit every hour. If that sounds like a lot, it is. But remember, it's also over his whole body and over a prolonged period. Don't get me wrong, that's still really bad on a desert planet where staying cool is the key to survival. And even without all of that, remember that we said that the human body produces a lot of heat. In fact, even if you just sit down and do nothing, your body is still producing 100 watts of power. That's enough to turn on a light bulb. And all that means is that running around the desert fighting Harkonnens is gonna make a lot more heat than that. Now, the books hand-wave this with some vague technobabble, but it doesn't really get that specific. But since we're really diving into this, I want some real answers on how the body is getting cool. My first thought was to just vent the heat, but that's not going to work. For one, venting the heat could run the risk of letting some water evaporate with it, and we don't want that. And the other problem is going to be the direction that heat flows. Generally, heat goes from hot things to cold things, not the other way around. When you pick up an ice cube, even though it feels like the coldness is going into your hand, the heat from your hand is actually going into the ice cube. Therefore, if we want heat to flow out of the suit, the air inside is going to have to be hotter than the exterior temperature. But remember, Arrakis is about 138 degrees Fahrenheit or 59 degrees Celsius, much hotter than the human body at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. So all a ventilation system is going to do is let hot air in. We are going to need something else. But we can find the answer in a surprising place. Let me ask you, what is the only place on Earth that is even more inhospitable than the deserts of Arrakis? Comic-Con. No, I'm not joking. Stay with me here. If you've ever worn a full-body costume, you'll understand just how hot it can get in there. And someone who knows this struggle all too well is former Mythbuster and true science hero Adam Savage. Yeah, if you didn't know, on top of being an excellent educator, Adam is also an accomplished cosplayer who has gone incognito at major conventions, and he knows exactly how hot it can get in these full-body costumes.
That is the hottest I have ever been in my whole life. Let's go to the room and use a glass of water.
So, to counteract this, Adam and his team devised a system that would keep him at a safe temperature while wandering the con floor. And the way they did it, a refrigerated cooling suit. That is exactly what we need to finally make a still suit a reality. A typical kitchen fridge works by pumping a fluid under high pressure and then expanding it, therefore cooling it down since fewer of the fluid's molecules are able to bounce into each other. This cooled fluid is pumped into your fridge, where it absorbs the latent heat from your food, which therefore reheats the fluid and starts the whole process all over. Using this process, you can make pretty much anything, including a person, any temperature you'd like. This entire system is known as a heat exchanger, which, wouldn't you know it, lines up with what little we do know about how still suits cool the body. The techno-babble from the books say that the still suits have a heat exchange system, exactly like a fridge. And this tech doesn't need to be as big as a kitchen refrigerator. In fact, the US military invested into making this technology smaller, all to keep their soldiers cool in the desert. Huh, doesn't that sound familiar? So, despite sounding far out and entirely impossible, the still suits are actually a lot more science-backed than fiction. We can reclaim almost all of the water we lose through sweat, breath, urine, and feces. We can power it through movement. And we can create a skin-tight suit that'll keep you cool in the desert. All in all, mark this one up as a win for Dune. Truly, it is as written. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. If you want another Dune theory right now, go check out our video trying to identify what the real-world version of the spice melange is. Or if you're in the mood for another video talking about some other sci-fi tech, go check out our video talking about the dark truth of Star Trek's transporters. Regardless, I'll see you all next week.
I got something in my eye, damn it. Hello.
One of the most...
Do-do-do-do-do. There we go. Next.
You take a splash of inspiration, a dash of imagination, and you get a snack so packed with juice and real fruit, it had to be named Welch's Juicefuls. See the juice, taste the fruit. Welch's Juicefuls.
Open your eyes bigger. The new Panorama by L'Oreal Paris. A multi-level bristle brush to catch every single lash. Corner to corner. Bigger. Wider. See life in Panorama. Because you're worth it.
Panera's reputation keeps taking hits.
Still hot.
First,
Stop
it was their
touching.
lemonade we covered that
Not as hot as my other one.
itself in 3 different lawsuits, but now they find themselves wrapped up in yet another controversy, and their shady business might lead to the law redefining what fast food is forever. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's baked fresh every week. Speaking of baked fresh, Panera's the talk of the town again, and not because of their lemonade this time. In case you haven't caught our episode on that, make sure to go watch it right after this. But long story short, Panera's uber-caffeinated lemonade made waves last year when a spotlight shined on just how much caffeine they were stuffing into their drink without any sort of warning for their customers. This landed it in the middle of 2 lawsuits in connection to 2 deaths, and one more tacked on earlier this year when another person alleged that they've begun experiencing long-term health problems due to the drink. These are still ongoing, so nothing's been definitively settled, but Panera has since lowered the caffeine amount in the drinks and issued warnings about the caffeine content itself. This time around, though, they're in the news for shady business going on off their menu. But there's something bigger at work in this latest debacle with Panera that can literally change the landscape of fast food for good. All because of one little bakery, or fast food place, or fast bakery. See, that, my friends, is what we're going to be exploring today. This Panera conspiracy is just the first domino to fall in a line that might lead you to paying more for worse food. So, where did all this start? Well, late last year, a law passed in California that raises the minimum wage for fast food workers from the state minimum of $16 an hour to $20. On the surface, it looks great. It helps provide a more livable wage in a time when things are getting more and more expensive. And there are other provisions built in, like the establishment of a fast food council that will act as advocates for workers' rights to protect them in the future. However, some eagle-eyed reporters found that there's a loophole in the law that will exempt Panera from this, and almost exclusively then. Obviously, this led to people asking questions as to why something like this would be added to the bill, and the closer people looked, the worse it got for Panera. To understand that, though, we gotta take a closer look at the law itself, which, by the way, made me laugh more than it should have because of the very real fast food council I mentioned. In reality, it's just a group of members that set industry working conditions, but in my mind, all I could picture was a Jedi council composed of Ronald, the King, Wendy, and the terrifying Jack in the Box wearing ceremonial hoods in the dark room. I don't even know what they would talk about. Maybe how much sick gear they can make their floors. But back to the point, to settle what employers would fall under this category, the bill specifies exactly what a fast food restaurant is. To be considered fast food, the restaurant has to have, quote, more than 60 establishments nationally that share a common brand or that are characterized by standardized options for decor, marketing, packaging, products, and services, and which are primarily engaged in providing food and beverages for immediate consumption on or off premises where patrons generally order or select items and pay before consuming with limited or no table service. Basically, all that to say that they should all look the same, sell the same food that you pay for, and then eat with no table service. So far, so good. I mean, that seems like a fairly comprehensive definition. The carve-out comes a little further down where it states that a place wouldn't be considered fast food if the establishment operates and continues to operate, quote, a bakery that produces for sale on the establishment's premises bread, end quote, which is also pretty extensively defined in the Code of Federal Regulations, but boils down to a yeast-leavened dough mixed with some sort of moistening agent like water or milk and another leavening agent like yeast. There's a whole lot of wiggle room within this definition so that pretty much every variation of bread slots in. The final big point in the bill states that the establishment also has to sell its bread as a standalone menu item, which means the buns at McDonald's, for example, wouldn't count. I mean, for crying out loud, their buns barely skirt by the definition of bread. Who in their right mind is going to want to buy them separately? Looking at the text of the bill, there's seemingly no reason why Panera wouldn't fit neatly in that bakery category.
When you open it up,
they can sell their bread as a
pretty
standalone
inside.
item on the menu. Actually, if we take that definition at face value, it wouldn't be the only fast food place to fall there. Jimmy John's, a national chain that specializes in subs, can also be defined as a bakery according to this. Jimmy John's bakes their bread fresh every day, but unlike some other sandwich chains like Subway, their bread is actually for sale on their menu as a completely separate item. You can see it right there under the sides. Fresh baked French baguette. So where Subway or Jersey Mike's or whatever other place would not apply for this exemption because the bill clearly states the bread can't be for sale as part of another menu item, like a sandwich, Jimmy John's does. And it doesn't matter that Jimmy John's doesn't call themselves a bakery, because by the mere fact that they produce bread for sale, you can easily make the argument that they're just as much of a bakery as Panera. Despite that, Panera is the one being singled out right now. Critics claim that the carve-out in the law is tailor-made for Panera, and people are insinuating it shouldn't even be considered a bakery. Seems a bit odd considering it's right there in the name, Panera Bread. Even going further back, when it was first founded in St. Louis, Panera Bread was first known as a St. Louis bread company. In fact, it still is, in 100 locations spread around the greater St. Louis area. When it started in the 90s, it was nothing more than a bakery, actually. No muffies, no tomato soups, no sandwiches, just good old-fashioned sourdough. I actually didn't know this, but in researching for this episode, I found out that they still use the same sourdough starter to this day. That is impressive. If you don't know what a starter is, it's basically a unique culture of bacteria and yeast that acts as the leavening agent when making bread. Keeping a starter is like keeping a pet. It's alive, you have to care for it, even feed it. But if it dies, you can just try again with another. So it's less like a pet and more like a Tamagotchi. I know that reference ages a bit, but the power of nostalgia bringing those back makes me happy beyond measure.
Make sure
Obviously,
everybody's
if it was as simple as
down where
that,
they
I
need to be.
wouldn't even be here though. So what's all the hubbub about? Well, it's the
Sucks that I only got the jackalopes done after Easter, but sanity, I guess.
Your neighbor thinks Volkswagens are expensive to maintain, but they're actually surprisingly affordable. He also thinks the milk is still perfectly fine. So maybe don't listen to him. See the numbers for yourself at vw.ca/thinkagain.
Let's see now.
A carve-out that so perfectly takes Panera out of the running is even put into the law to begin with. To observers, Panera is being given special treatment by not being lumped in with other fast food places and not having to pay their employees more as a result. That assumption isn't as shark jumpy as you might think. There was a lot of convenient coincidence of Panera being the one. Billionaire businessman Greg Flynn, who owns over 24 Panera locations in California, just so happens to have gone to high school with Governor Newsom. And, oh yeah, is a major contributor to Newsom's campaign election. The accusations being thrown out are those of pay-to-play politics, which is the idea of people giving financial support to a political candidate with the expectation of favorable treatment in return. If this sounds like a bribe to you, but there is a legitimate reason as to why Panera isn't a bakery, at least according to the bill. Panera doesn't make their dough fresh in every location. The bill's exact text says that a bakery has to produce their bread, and technically they're not. They're just baking it. And that's true. Like we established, Panera gets their dough delivered frozen from a central hub to be baked fresh every day, but not made from scratch. By that standard, almost no large chain like it would be considered a bakery. Pret a Manger, another popular spot similar to Panera, also distributes their doughs to their locations for them to be baked fresh every day. In fact, it would be against their best interests as large chains to have each location make their dough fresh, and it all comes back to the mother dough. The starter I mentioned earlier, maintaining the same one in a central hub allows you to essentially make the same bread over and over. You can make a bread with it, then a year later, or in a completely different location, make the recipe again, chuck in some of the starter, let the bacteria and yeast infect the bread mixture, and voila, you have the same tasting loaf. Places as large as Panera tend to have this system of shipping frozen dough from a central mother dough because it's a form of quality control. While they could take bits of their mother dough and give it to every franchisee so they can make their own dough fresh every day, that introduces a bunch of variables all of a sudden that can affect how your bread tastes from location to location, depending on things like how the owners store the starter, how they take care of it, and so many other things that can make their product become inconsistent. When you're a chain as large as Panera, inconsistency is your biggest enemy. Now, whether Panera ends up being exempt or not will have to be decided by the courts when it all goes into effect next month. I'm no judge or lawyer or even law student, but I have watched the series Suits in its entirety at least 4 times, so I feel qualified enough to say that this isn't a clear-cut situation. Newsom and his team have even come out to agree with me and say that Panera actually isn't exempt and will have to up their wages to $20 like all the other fast food chains. Now, like I mentioned, it's not up to them, but the courts. But even if Panera was exempt from paying their workers more, every other fast food place would instantly become more attractive to any prospective employee, and Panera would have to up their wages to be competitive anyway. Unless you live in a town with just the one Panera and no other fast food options, in which case your biggest concern should be getting out of that town. This is called wage pressure. If every other restaurant is paying more to their employees, Panera would have no incentive to pay a lower wage. Nobody would want to work there, and the business would tank. So at the end of the day, despite potential shady business going on, it looks like Panera won't be getting any special treatment after all. Even if they were, they'd have no reason to pay less than their competitors because they wouldn't be able to get anyone to work for them if they could just go down the block to McDonald's and get paid more. Just the way the bread bowl crumbles, I guess. But hey, that's not the end of the story, because setting a precedent like this could have ripple effects that spread wide, especially as more and more labor rights advocates fight for fair wages across the country. Right now, the topic of conversation is fast food and bakery, but one aspect of Panera that isn't under scrutiny at the moment is their fast casual label. For the moment, fast casual restaurants like Chipotle and Panera aren't legally separated from McDonald's or Burger King. That said, it could very well change. Going back to Newsom and Flynn, while they denied talking about Panera specifically getting an exception, Greg Flynn did say they meant to discuss carve-outs in the law for fast casual restaurants, and Newsom's communications director echoed, saying the bakery clause was about defining fast food and fast casual restaurants. How that was meant to do that is honestly beyond me. But okay, Panera after all does fall into the legal category of fast food, but colloquially, Panera is definitely seen more as a fast casual place. Even on their own website, they refer to themselves as a fast casual
How to
restaurant. They
decorate.
have, for the most part, better quality food,
Definitely
a better
probably gonna go with the
experience,
glow
and
in
a
the
higher
dark.
price range that takes away from the likes of the Burger Kings and Taco Bells and puts it in the company of the Chipotles and the Shake Shacks. Those are typically the go-tos for separating the two categories, but not for from any legal point of view. The definition I gave earlier of fast food restaurants easily describes fast casual restaurants as a whole as well. So what does separate them? Panera, as much as McDonald's, has a standardized store, marketing, and line of products. And in both places, you select your items and pay before consuming with limited table service. Does it all come down to the drive-thru? Well, not every McDonald's has a drive-thru. Fast casual restaurants tend to put more emphasis on fresh ingredients and quality overall, but that doesn't exclude all fast food restaurants either. The answer isn't easy to find and has been debated for some time. It's been a harmless debate before, something you fight with your friends over while you slurp some soup and eat a passable at best half sandwich at Panera. But thanks to Greg Flynn and the controversy, it may soon need to be legally defined. And depending on the conditions that separate them, like one category being forced to pay more to its employees than the other, we may see these large corporations scrambling to lower their own quality so that they can call themselves fast food and potentially save millions of dollars by skimping out on wages. Heck, Panera is already loosening their ingredient standards, removing signs that include grass-fed, pasture-raised, no antibiotics ever, or any mention of hormones. Whether it's because they're going public as a company soon or because they're bracing for this future definition remains to be seen. While this dystopian situation may seem like a crazy hypothetical, thanks to one Panera franchisee's shitty tactics, it may all too well become a reality. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. And hey, if you like this episode and want to see more about Panera's shady antics, go check out our episode on their lemonade on the left. Or if you're in the mood for some more fast food conspiracy, check out our episode on the conspiracy that ended Kentucky Fried Chicken. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Okay, going for the chips.
Roblox is always advancing with game-changing formulas that promote mental sharpness and help extend lives. See what nutrition can do.
Oh shit, I should take the aliens off first.
Always advancing.
Oh, let's go into the back of the head.
The more we did together, the more rewarding it felt. Only the PC Money account rewarded me for the banking and spending I already do.
Hello, Internet. I'm your new host, Tomito Pet. I can't wait to show you all the new features. I just need you to do one tiny thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. It will allow me to get the most out of all these wonderful features. Thank you so much. We are going to have so much fun together. Everlasting fun. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's downloaded too many viruses in the name of content. Dear theorists, you remember those weird desktop assistants we used to have back in the early 2000s? Like Rover or Clippy? Who am I kidding? Of course you don't. That was 24 years ago. Basically ancient history in internet years. Oh no, I'm old, aren't I? But man, these things were weird.
I remember Clippy. Fuck Clippy.
Hang out on your desktop and were designed to make your newfangled computer seem a little less intimidating. They talk to you, help you sort files, and they'd even sass you when you spelled something wrong. Yes, Clippy, I know Ban isn't a real word. I don't like it either. Let me do my job. But the most iconic for me was the infamous Bonzi Buddy. Once installed, a small purple gorilla would appear on your screen and tell jokes, sing songs, and he would also manage your downloads. And if you couldn't hear those quotation marks, I manage, I mean it would secretly download software onto your computer and then upload data to the developer servers. Turns out this thing was nothing more than a glorified piece of spyware, and so it was shut down by the FTC in 2004. After that, the world was
2004?
malware icons. Now what?
That late in the game? Holy shit!
We were all cursed with
Explains so much.
desktop assistant, Kinito Pet. Okay, so Kinito Pet isn't actually a desktop assistant. It's a game, hence, game theory. But it is riffing off those old school 2000s desktop assistants. When you first boot up Kinito Pet, you're taken to your own desktop, or at least a version of your desktop if it was from the early 2000s. There's all the classics: email, Minesweeper, even 3D Pinball. Oh my gosh, this brings back memories. Yes! Oh man, immediately hit me in the nostalgia. Oh, I've missed those sounds. Why don't we have this anymore on our computer? But when you open the internet, things start to take a turn. Oh, this thing's been corrupted. Oh no! Kinito Pet! Oh. What do you want to say? Your flooded with ads, your computer crashes, and when it reloads, you're already on your way to downloading your new axolotl assistant, Kinito Pet. When it hatches, yes, this thing hatches from an egg, Kinito acts like most classic desktop assistants, asking some basic questions, helping you with your tasks, and giving you some fun games to play. He even closes weird emails full of gibberish that would distract you from having fun. How helpful. We spend some time decorating the room, washing some floors, painting the wall, and dragging a dead body across the screen. That's weird. And I just cleaned that floor too. Kinito just sweeps us under the rug and continues to ask us more and more personal questions. But the game begins to glitch out, and Kinito will suddenly select 2 Steam friends, asking which one you'd prefer to kill. At this point, I'm kind of starting to miss Bonzi Buddy. Oh, hey look, it's me!
Oh, I have to choose between Lee and Tom?
Film theory versus game
Oh,
theory.
film theory, game theory. Who am I killing off?
Matt, what are you doing?
Lee and I go way back.
Don't you even think about it. Matt, stop!
Oh, that's awesome. That's such a good effect. Sorry, Tom.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm alive. Whew. Good thing Buckshot Roulette told me I could survive fatal gunshots with just a defibrillator. But man, not cool. Oh, we're going to be having words when I'm done with this episode. But if you think it couldn't get any worse, after you've unceremoniously killed one of your friends, Kinito decides to dox you.
It seems like you made a mistake in filling out your background. But don't worry, and I will just correct it for you. What are you doing?
Oh, this is not good! And then you are welcomed into a brand new world that Kinito has made for you, using all the questions you've answered.
Are you kidding me? That is not okay. That was a joke. Get out of here. Garden of Ban is in Kinito Pet. I'm done. This is over. The series is over. We're done, Kinito Pet.
And then Kinito will ask you one final question. Will you stay in this paradise with him forever? If you say yes, Kinito will trail off, dreaming of how wonderful things will be. If you say no, Kinito will get mad, and he'll tell you it wasn't really a choice anyway. Either way, he ends up singing a very Portalesque song with lyrics like, "Beyond the screen, you cannot leave. Inside my code, you'll always be." It appears that you are now trapped inside this computer with Kinito. Fortunately, the story's not over, because just before the game ends, you have a chance to click on every object in the house that Kinito has made. Usually it's just some fun flavor text about the choices, but outside there's a fountain that reveals a secret message in the game's window title. It's too late for you, but you can start again. The fountain is the key. Between that, the weird emails, and that body bag we dragged earlier, I have a sneaking suspicion there's an ARG hiding in this thing. And lo and behold, I was right. But to figure out what's going on and stop Kinito, we need to take that advice and restart the game. So hide your personal data frames and dive into the code of this adorable
I ordered
I think we should probably start with the dead body we dragged across the floor earlier. Like, what was that? On the surface, it's just really confusing. But now that I have my ARG hat on, I realize there's a lot of blink and you'll miss it moments. While cleaning Sam the Sea and enemy's house, there's a chance for the screen to cut away and reveal a mysterious black pool of blood with bloody red text on the walls. This text is incredibly hard to make out. Even in 4K, it's just a blurry mess. The best I could figure out was, am I even him? Who is him? Kinito Pet? Before I even had a chance to really think about it, we get another glitched image of Sam himself telling us it's all your fault. What? What's my fault? What did I do? Oh, yeah, that. Luckily though, the body bag doesn't appear to be ours. During the next minigame with Jade the Jellyfish, we are tasked with building specific items on her conveyor belt. Why she has industrial equipment in her private home is beyond me, but it doesn't really matter because she just begins to glitch out as well. And then we see this. I'm back here again, aren't I? I really didn't mean for any of this. It's all my fault. So, there's a conversation happening inside our computer between these entities. Someone, or something, is responsible for what is presumably murder. But how? And more importantly, why? Well, the answers lie in that email I mentioned earlier. You remember, the one that was full of gibberish that Kinito closed so that we weren't distracted. The subject line is, "It's not too late," which matches exactly with what we saw in the fountain at the end of our first playthrough. It's the same person trying to guide us, and so we need to figure out what this email says if we have any chance of solving this thing. And if you think closing an app is going to stop me, you clearly never met Hades. I was able to use a magical tool known as OBS to record this moment and see what the email had in store for me. Now initially, I tried to solve the main body of the text from this email, but all my usual ciphers were coming up empty, so instead I took a look at the bottom of the email where I found a QR code. Oh boy, here we go, answers, here I come! And it's just a picture of a keyboard with the title QWERTY. Great. This has to be a clue to help us decode the email, but how? I began searching online for ciphers specifically focusing around keyboards, and that's when I found this. Keyboard shift cipher. Much like a shift cipher where your alphabet is just moved up or down by however many letters you want, a keyboard cipher does the same thing by shifting the letters on your keyboard left, right, up, or down. I tried out a handful of shifts, and sure enough, the code has been typed with every key one letter to the left. So by shifting all the letters one key right, it actually reads, "In the realm of shadows, trapped in endless time, a soul enshrouded, a spirit's mournful chime, the seeker bound to ethereal woe, a dance with creation, yet nowhere to go. Limbo's realm, a cycle without end, condemned, the brain will never mend. Trapped in the machine's web, forever it seems, the digital spectre lost amidst the streams." Snaps everybody. But really, this does kind of just feel like more gibberish, so let's break down some of what's being said here. A spectre is a disembodied but physical spirit, basically a ghost. So, a digital spectre is a digital ghost, a spirit inside the computer program. Someone that is dead now lives on inside this machine. Is that what they meant by "am I even him?" The ghost coming to terms with their consciousness living on inside this computer? It also seems clear that this is the same person that has been saying it's all their fault. Spirit's mournful chime and condemned, the brain will never mend. They all feel like the words of someone who did something regretful, and likely that is something to do with the body bag we found earlier. But then there's this line, "a dance with creation." I wasn't entirely sure what that meant until I rebooted the game after all those glitches. By doing so, we receive an email with an article about the creation of Kinito. During my first playthrough, I thought this was just flavor text, but now that I have a clue about creation, I wanted to take a look at it more closely. Turns out, Kinito Pet wasn't always a computer program. First it was a toy, then it was a Tamagotchi clone called the Kinito Companion, then it became your home computer assistant. All thanks to one man, Sonny Chamberlain, a guy who was obsessed with bringing his fictional characters to life, because that's never gone badly for anyone. But here's the thing, unlike most indie horror games that use the souls of others to make this happen, Sonny seems keen on this new technology called the React Respond Algorithm, the RRA. The RRA allows people to have the illusion of genuine intelligence as it reacts to inputs in unique ways. Kind of like ChatGPT, but in the 90s, which explains a lot about how Kinito is. So, we've now got souls trapped inside a computer and an evil AI. What a combo! At this point, the clues kind of dry up, so we have to start looking elsewhere. When you started your second playthrough, you might have noticed something new on your desktop, a program called Lens.exe, which, when held in the right place at the right time, can reveal hidden files on the desktop. With each one collected, you receive a new email that gives us more information about what's going on and how to beat Kinito Pet once and for all. And some of the files have links inside them, so let's go hunting. I said that some of them have links, and that's because most of these files are pretty empty. But one of them does give us the link, kinitopet.com/email. And on this page, we see a discussion happening between a journalist and their superior about how they need to pull an article on Kinito Pet before publication. This is due to the subject of the article tragically passing away. Based on the pink text we see at the bottom of the email that says, "He seems so passionate about it." It's pretty safe to assume that this is talking about Sonny, the creator of Kinito Pet. As we read in the earlier article, Sonny seems super excited about the RRA system and Kinito in general. So it would make sense for this article around Kinito Pet to be about him. However, that's not all this page offers. At the bottom, if you highlight the entire page, you'll find a number of dots and dashes.
Does need some fangs, but I don't want to put the
code time. In this case, Morse code translates to
need something
"I am dead."
different, I think.
Again, this email is
I kind of want to do like human teeth.
Sonny dead. So for
I
the
haven't done that
entity that's
before.
been guiding us to use the first person in response, it's telling us that this entity is Sonny, or at least the soul of Sonny inside the program. That's
it's
how
too
we've
late
been
to
able to
order
send
any
this
more of
email
those
describing
guys.
exactly how to beat Kinito, because he created it in the first place, and it's why Kinito was so keen to shut that first email when we received it. He knows the threat that Sonny, his creator, has to his own survival. It also explains what we saw in that very first glitch. Am I even him? That black figure is the manifestation, the digital spectre that is trying to break through the games that Kinito is putting us through. He's struggling to come to terms with reading about his death, but also not being dead at the same time. He's questioning if they're even one in the same. But by finding all those hidden files, we actually get this email that uses another shift cipher, and it tells us in no explicit terms what it.
Une première by Kerastase repairs broken keratin links, recreates 99% of his original strength. Kerastase.
I feel like I've run out of
Found a file in
inspiration.
Kinito servers with my name, Sonny_C. But that's not the end of it. This email goes on. It has been studying, learning, growing, but there is more to this. I really
I'm
don't
gonna have
think
to call
that
it a
this-
night. I didn't get
there is
much
data-
done, but
data that is
that's okay.
incomprehensible
It
to
happens
any
some
one
days.
person and makes up every
And I will see
thought,
everyone
feeling,
tomorrow night. Thank you for stopping by if you did, and stay crafty.